People are leaving Fort Myers faster than a lot of us expected, and it's starting to change the whole market here. Today, I'm gonna break down exactly why so many people are deciding to pack up right now, what that means if you're a buyer who's hoping to get a deal, and how sellers can still protect their home value in a market that's shifting. I'm Rick Harrison. I'm a former contractor and now a local real estate agent here in Fort Myers. I've helped dozens of families buy and sell homes across Southwest Florida, and my goal with this video is to make sure you have the inside scoop so you can make smart decisions in this changing market. So let's start with the big question everybody's asking. Why are so many people leaving Fort Myers right now? So there are really four main reasons why people are leaving Fort Myers right now, and a couple of them are pretty obvious. The first one is insurance costs. Obviously, if you've been paying attention to our market down here, you know that over the last several years, we've had 3 hurricanes that have come through the area, one of them being Hurricane Ian, and that absolutely devastated beach area and into Cape Coral. And because of that, several insurance companies actually went bankrupt and had to leave the state, which put a strain on many of the other insurance companies, and Florida's really last resort, which is Citizens, the state-backed insurance company for homeowners and property insurance. So if you had a home that's anywhere near water over the last couple of years, you've probably seen some skyrocketing insurance costs, especially if it comes to flood insurance. And then on top of that, if you have homes with roofs that are over 10 years old, or even the building itself is pre-2004, you're probably seeing premiums go up quite a bit too. On top of that, we also have the hurricane recovery and risk. So, Ian repairs, that put a huge stress on the system as far as how many contractors were able to rebuild. That increased prices for what remodel work costs. And then we also have future storms, which, a lot of people are just deciding that after 2 or 3 times they've been flooded, they've had enough, they're done rebuilding, and they're gonna be moving somewhere else. Another thing people are surprised by, and this is a third key here, is that most people come to Florida because they expect a lower cost of living. Well, over the last several years, with the boom that we had pre-pandemic and then going into the pandemic, taxes and the cost of living have gone up quite substantially here. So a lot of people come in a little bit sticker shock thinking that they're gonna be getting a lot more house for the money, and then they find out, wow, Florida's not that cheap anymore. It's actually just as expensive as where they came from. So we've seen property values go up, taxes have gone up, inflation, which is finally just starting to come down, and then also insurance costs. You add all those things together and the cost of living is no longer what it used to be. And then the fourth main reason is the lifestyle changes with the jobs. A lot of remote work happened over the last several years, and that remote work is starting to decline. So a lot of people are moving back to the cities and back to where their families were because they don't have the opportunity to work remotely anymore. This isn't all doom and gloom. Insurance companies are moving back into the state. Things are starting to improve. Inflation's coming down. Even the Florida governor is starting to work on ways to eliminate property taxes. So they're working on a bunch of different angles to try to make the cost of living better here in Florida and help people start to move back into the state more than they are currently. Now, if you're looking to buy here, this trend changes the game for you in some really interesting ways. First of all, more inventory right now means more choices. So there's less pressure, there's less bidding wars, and home values and home prices are starting to come down some. The market's definitely softening. On top of that, we're also hearing that the Fed is probably going to be lowering the rates soon, which if that does happen, we may see things get a lot more affordable for people again to be able to purchase homes. And I know there's a lot of pent up demand waiting on the sidelines. It also means that there's an opportunity for upgrades. So a lot of builders after Ian have started to include hurricane windows and doors as part of their standard package because it's really starting to become that necessity for a lot of these homes, especially if you're closer to the coast. So this is all good news for buyers. You're gonna be able to get more for your money, and builders have started to actually tailor their offerings now towards the entry-level homes because they realize a lot of people aren't buying because they just can't afford the types of homes that they've been building over the years. This isn't a crashing market, so I'm not saying go all in on everything. You still need to be strategic, but I'm saying you probably don't need to wait for a crash because I don't know if one is gonna come. And if you're on the other side of the table, a homeowner who's thinking about selling, here's what you need to know if you wanna win in this market. First of all, pricing matters more than ever, and especially in this market. So we're talking about anything that's overpriced right now is sitting a lot longer. So you need to really price it right from day one, because if you get too far behind on the pricing game, you're gonna be not only sitting longer, but by the time you make an adjustment that you might feel was reasonable to get some action going, you might already be behind the 8 ball and behind where the market's dictating prices are at that point in time. You also need to consider staging and presentation. If your home isn't presented as, the best option for them or the best value for their money, they're gonna look elsewhere because they can, or they're gonna nickel and dime you for every single inspection issue. So you need to have something that's super clean. It has to show well, has to be move-in ready and stand out. And sometimes, if you can, and you can afford to do so, having it furnished or selling it furnished. A lot of people who are moving down here, they're moving from places that, they're downsizing. They don't want to take on, all the moving of all their stuff. So they'd rather just get rid of it and move into something that's pretty much, ready to go, fully furnished, or, turnkey ready, they call it. So if you got hurricane upgrades, that's something a lot of buyers are looking for right now. Hurricane windows and doors, you're talking about in a 2,500 square foot house, you're talking about 60, 70 grand to put in those kinds of windows and doors. So that's something that the buyer is gonna be saying, well, it's listed at this price, we gotta factor in another 60, 70 grand that we're gonna be. Newer roof, that's a huge thing right now, especially with insurance premiums. Low flood risk zones, so if you're in a zone that isn't in a flood zone, that's a huge plus right now. A lot of people don't wanna move into them. And then amenities is another big draw. If you're living in a community or even just not in an HOA, but you're in an area where there's a lot of things around you to do, shopping, restaurants, there's pickleball courts or tennis ball courts, golf courses, things like that. The people that are moving down here, who are relocating, that's the kind of lifestyle they're moving down here for. If you're somebody who's moved down here, think about, why did you move down here? Sun 290 days out of the year. You can be outside and do outside activities all the time. Riding your bike, hiking trails or running, kayaking, swimming, boating, fishing. Those are the reasons people move down here. They also want to have good food. They also like to go out and shop. Anything that you can think of that is going to make your home stand out, give somebody a reason to want to move down here, you need to have that in your marketing strategy. Something any good listing agent should be doing anyways, you need to get professional photography. I don't know how many times I've seen agents who take pictures with their cell phone. They don't even have the camera faced wide, so you get these up and down photos that take up like, a third of the image area, and they're really small, hard to see. It doesn't show like the home's, a big, beautiful space. Color grading's off, so it looks dim, or things look like they're dingy instead of, if there was a professional photographer, they can make even a less desirable room look like it's incredible. You also need somebody who's gonna be on social media. A lot of people nowadays are turning to what they call micro-influencers, people who are on YouTube, people who are on TikTok and Instagram, who are representing their clients through social media. And then the final piece for listing your property and getting it sold, making sure you have somebody who's actually doing outreach. So not just sitting back, listening in the MLS and hoping that it sells. Somebody who's running open houses if you're open to open houses. Somebody who's reaching out by telephone to the neighborhood, or sending out flyers, or going door knocking, or calling their list, writing blog posts that get on there, or featuring your home on their YouTube channel or their TikTok if they have a ton of followers. Those are the kinds of things that gets your home out there. The more eyeballs that are seeing your home, the more likely you are to sell it to the right person and the right buyer. Now, while it's still definitely a buyer's market right now in Southwest Florida, there are homes that are selling. I have listings that are selling. And it's all about how you position the property, how you compare it to the other competition in that neighborhood or that area, and making sure that yours stands out for whatever reason from the rest of them. You have to make your home more desirable than everybody else's in your area, because right now there's so many listings that buyers have pretty much the pick of the litter. The truth is, Fort Myers is shifting. People are leaving for a lot of different reasons, and that creates opportunities for buyers and challenges for sellers. If you want a real strategy that works in today's market, reach out anytime. My contact info is right there in the description. But if you're wondering if now's the time to buy, or you should wait and hold off for a little bit to see if prices come down, you'll definitely want to check out my next video coming up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.